Українське незалежне радіо.
I mean, you're in the thick of it. You're in a war zone.
Yeah, I'm in a war zone. Yes, I got woken up on Thursday by a big explosion.
Taras Petro.
Yes.
Ukrainian name?
Just a little,
American
yes.
born.
American born, yes.
Me too. So I'm glad we connected. Small
You're
world.
a fan of Charlie's?
I'm a fan of Charlie's. I'm a fan of yours.
Good.
I'm glad we connected because ironically, you know, small world. I was also born and raised in Metro Detroit. You're from Hamtramck.
I am.
Surrounded by Detroit on all sides. I grew up 15 minutes away from you, 11 Mile and Ryan and Warren.
Oh, that's a small world because I used to own a house at 11 and Ryan.
In the other Ukrainian hood.
In the other Ukrainian hood, yes.
It's a lot of similarities, but the similarities end here because I'm now in Chicago doing this armchair pontificating, whereas you, sir, are in Ukraine. And that's what I want to hear about. I want to hear what you're doing. I understand you have your Michigan, your Hummer with Michigan plates, and you're tooling around Western Ukraine, helping people out.
Well, I have my Hummer with Michigan plates, yes, and in as much as I can, I'm trying to help and be useful. But you know, on the ground here, it's like всі тебе тягнуть з кожної сторони, and you can't please everybody, but you try. I mean, I'm trying because you know. I hate to say it this way, but there's a lot of people, especially in Detroit. I mean, I know a lot of people in Detroit that are like, yeah, Ukrainec. You know, they're not Ukrainians. They're yeah, Ukrainec, but they've never been to Ukraine. They don't know what it's like here. They just support with their Hiroshi, and you know, they don't send any care packages. They have family here they've never seen personally, but they claim "Ya Ukrainec." Like, if you want to get something done, come here and help and be useful. Don't just sit over there on the couch and be a couch potato and watch the news and help. You have to, if you're going to help, do some physical. You know, get over here and be of good use.
So I just had a conversation with two women from Ukraine originally. They're based in Chicago now, and they're in Poland on the Polish side of the border, helping refugees connect to places to stay and get hot meals and so forth. They're collecting helmets and bulletproof vests and sending them back over. I'm gonna share information here. The whole point of this exercise that I'm doing is to shine light on people doing what you're doing, what they're doing. Let people know the truth. I also want to connect people. So anybody who wants to help, tell them what you're doing. I mean, you're driving. Are you driving people from Lviv to the Polish border? Are you crossing the border?
So I'm driving people from Lviv to the border. I'm driving people from Ternopil to the border. I had six people that I was supposed to pick up from Zakarpattia, but they kind of got cold feet and didn't leave yet because it's not that bad in the Carpathian Mountains. But yeah, my last go around was Ternopil.
How are you paying for gas?
It's really sometimes I have to penny pinch because you know it's like I told Charlie, it's 8 miles to a gallon. So, you know, somebody told me, hey, you should start a GoFundMe or you should start something, you know, because it really, you know, I can only go as far as my gas tank allows me to go. You know, that's why I only do, you know, sometimes I'll do 3 trips a day. Sometimes I'll do 5 trips a day. It all depends on how I feel and how much Hiroshi I got in my pocket.
Is anybody sending you money?
$100 here, $100 there, nothing, nothing that I can say, okay, I have this capital and I can do a week worth of work with it. If I did, I wouldn't have to sweat with, asking for support or money or whatnot. And a lot of it, is out of my own kishanya, but you can only go so far with that too, because I still have obligations back at home.
Are you crossing the border between Ukraine and Poland in your vehicle?
I do, yes, I have. I don't do it too much because when I do it, like this week I crossed twice. But when I do it, it's kind of headachy because they're like, oh, you kind of, how much is this truck worth? Why do you have Michigan plates? Why don't you have Ukrainian registration? So I had to actually, when I crossed the last time, she started insisting I speak Ukrainian to her.
The border guard.
Yeah, and I had 5 people in the car with me, and they knew no English. And this was actually the family from Ternopil. And they were like, she was like, "Як ви з ним говорите? Він не говорить по-англійськи, як ви з ним говорите?" And they, they kind of played stupid. And she was like, "Ticho, don't say anything, because if you piss her off, she's gonna turn you back around, and then we're gonna be stuck walking." I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm sticking my ground. I'm not backing off. So I stood my ground. I have a US passport. I have no other citizenship. She can't do shit to me. Yeah. And if the shit hits the fan, I'm gonna call Panamish and I'm gonna be like, hey, you guys got to control this border guard, because she thinks, she's got golden power. And so then she's like, oh, I'm gonna check your passport to make sure you don't have Ukrainian citizenship, and if you do, you're gonna go in the front where you want to. I'm like, okay, fine, we're playing this game.
So they think if you're a male 18 to 60 and you're a Ukrainian citizen, they're expecting you to take up arms.
Yes. So and even though I had 2 ladies and 3 kids in the car, even though she thought for a second they might have been my kids, she might have thought I did have dual citizenship, which then would be a problem, because then they'd say, well, since you have Ukrainian citizenship, we're not going to let you out because you got to fight.
Right.
So that would have been kind of awkward. So then she comes back, and it was like it was night and day. She came back, handed my passports to me, all the passports, and her whole tune changed, because obviously she saw it said Michigan, USA on there.
Yeah.
And then she changed her whole tune. So because of all that chaos I caused, I don't really want to cause it. But if it's 1 or 2 people, and there's exigent circumstances, I'll cross with them and then turn around. But I can do much more if I just stay at the border and drive them back and forth.
So you're staying mainly on the Ukrainian side.
Yes. Go ahead.
So how are you connecting with people? How do they know that you're taking people to Poland?
Well, I have a couple people in Lviv that work for like Terobono Oborona, and there's 2 other military police guys that I stay with. They have friends. I'm on this American group that there's a couple expatriates that left, and they have girlfriends or wives or friends of friends that need to cross over, and that's how I find them. I don't find them, like I told Charles, I don't find them, they find me.
So you just get phone calls?
I just get either phone calls or texts or messages on Facebook, and they're like, hey, can you help out? And then when I get to the border and I'm coming back, I got no problem, because it's like I got a car full of guys that got turned around, and they either gave their wife the car because they're like, well, я не хочу, щоб жінка була сама без авто, or they're like, well, Zinka went on the bus, and I have to turn back around, and it's like, it's cold. It was cold. It was cold a couple days ago, like freezing cold.
Yeah.
And I could only fit, I had nine or 10 guys. I could have got 2 more, but I had to have some room for the luggage. So we just put all the luggage in the front seat, and they just everybody else crammed in the truck as best as they could.
Have you helped anybody who's got other citizenship other than Ukrainian,
Yes.
foreign students, anybody like that?
I've helped students. I've helped a couple Arabs. I've had 1 or 2 Iraqis.
Because there are, I'm sure you know what I'm gonna say next, because there are reports coming over that some African students or people of color, Black people, are getting discriminated against.
Well, and I'll give you my response to that,
Okay.
because I'm on the ground and I see what's going on. And I'll start with this. In 2014, when I got here the first time, I have a friend back home, Evin Chorny.
He's Black.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's like, man, I want to come see Ukraine. I heard all this about Ukraine. I want to come see Ukraine. I'm like, all right, so next time I go, I'm taking you with me. And he didn't know all of what was happening yet. He didn't hear all about Crimea and everything. And it just started. It was right between Maidan and when Crimea was taken over. So I fly him to Warsaw. We fly together. And then we fly to Lviv. And I did not see any discrimination towards him. Yeah, they if you want to call discrimination staring at somebody, yeah, they get stared at because they stand out like a sore thumb. When I'm in Ternopil, you can see some Blacks because they study there. You also see Arabs because they study there, but they're already, people in Ternopil are already accustomed to them. There's very little of them in Lviv. You don't even see them in the Carpathian Mountains, because I have taken people all the way to Uzhhorod, to that side of the border. So why would you discriminate against them? I had my friend on Maidan. I had him on the stage on Maidan. I was there when they were burying a couple people that got sniper bullets, that got shot by sniper rounds. So I saw all that, and I didn't see discrimination towards my friend.
What about Polish border guards or Ukrainian border guards? Have you seen any not letting African students cross the border into Poland?
No.
Have you seen any actually cross? Have you seen African students cross the border?
So when I was there a couple of days ago, I saw some Arabs, I had the Iraqis, and I also saw a couple Blacks, maybe 4 of them, and they already had crossed into Poland from Ukraine. And
so now you're spending most of your time within the territory of Ukraine. Is it, mostly obviously Western Ukraine? Ternopil and Lviv are, they're next to each other, the 2 different provinces. You keep going down the road a few hours and you get to Vinnytsia, and I'm sure you've heard the reports from there. Do you know any information? Have you heard anything about that? There was a bombing.
Well, I know. I'm sorry, bombing of what?
The airport in Vinnytsia.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm surprised that the airport in Lviv hasn't been attacked yet. Because a week ago, it was Thursday, Friday sometime, Saturday sometime, they started evacuating people from a half a mile around the airport, because they thought that the Russians were going to come in and start missile firing on that airport. But the blogposts are so, I mean, they're everywhere. And that actually causes a delay too. It causes a delay. You know, I can't turn the truck off. I got to keep the truck running.
There were some reports about a bombing there, and you were talking about the airport in Lviv, which is closer to the Polish border.
Yes, and and they already put out the air raid sirens, and that day, a couple of days, it was like 2 days in a row. So what happened was there was this family, and they were supposed to go further into Ukraine, I believe to Kyiv. And so their plan was they were going to get to Lviv, and then they were going to get to Rivne, and then they were going to get to Kyiv. But the air raids started going off in the city, and everybody was told not to take the trains that day because they thought the trains were going to get attacked. So I'm like, well, I can't just there's two mothers, a father, and two kids. I can't just leave them in the street, so I have to put them up somewhere. So I put them up in a hotel at my expense, and I'm like, you know, hopefully by 11 o'clock tomorrow, it'll be safe for you guys to continue your journey on to Rivne and to Kyiv. And they were in the hotel, and then they call me, and they're like, the air raid, you know, the alarm in the hotel was going off in the center of Lviv, and they had to go down into the cellar, which was the hotel had like a sauna slash pool area, and it was in the basement. And they're like, well, there's like 40 or 50 of us, and we're all sitting in here waiting to see if the coast is clear, because they thought that Lviv was going to get attacked. But it was like crying wolf, because it's been a week already and nothing is happening. But it's a good thing. And I believe it was Friday or Saturday, the Russians sent, I don't know if it was 45 or 50 military guys, and they started parachuting out of the planes. By the time they hit the ground, they were already dead. Because before they started flying in the area, somebody had flew drones around to see the area. So the Ukrainians knew something was happening, but they didn't know when and where. So then they shot the drone down. And then after they shot the drone down is when the helicopters started coming in. And it was already like 40 dead by the time they hit the ground.
So you're in the thick of it. You're in a war zone.
Yeah, I'm in a war zone. Yes, I got woken up on Thursday by a big explosion, and I haven't slept good since. You know, I go to bed, and before I go to bed, we have to turn the lights off. You can't have the curtains open. It's got to be pitch black in the house. And I look out the window, and every time I look out the window, I make sure nothing's flying in. So I'm in a war zone.
Well, Taras, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I really hope you stay safe. What are your plans moving forward?
Well, and as long as my strength and finances can keep going, I'm going to keep going and trying to help as many people as I can.
And if somebody wants to help you do that, if somebody wants to send you cash, send you help, how can they find you?
Well, I have Cash App, and I was considering like starting a GoFundMe or something, but I haven't done that yet. So at this point, all I have is Cash App.
All right. Well, if we can get that information somehow, we'll put it in the description of this video here. And I hope that we can stay in touch and maybe keep talking. And if there are other developments and other ways that people can help you do what you're doing, then let us know.
Great. I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you so much.
And Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Українське незалежне радіо.